Hello, good day everyone. Today we were going to discuss to you about the reproduction in plants. This group presentation belongs to the group 2, starring
Angel and Rᴇᴘʀᴏᴅᴜᴜᴜᴜ.
Hi, this is Rᴇᴘʀᴏᴅᴜᴜᴜᴜ.
Hello everyone, I'm Rᴇᴘʀᴏᴜᴜᴜᴜᴜ.
All living organisms are capable of giving birth to young ones which are either exactly same or somewhat similar to them. Can you tell me what is this process of giving birth to an offspring known as? The process is called reproduction. In simple terms, it's defined as the process in which living organisms give birth to an offspring which is the same or similar to them. Now, when I say living organisms, it should include plants as well, right? Yes, of course. We have seen a new plant emerging from a seed when sown in the ground. Where does this seed come from? It comes from some plant, right? Absolutely. But wait, have we seen all the plants always giving us flowers, fruits and seeds? No, there are many plants that do not bear flowers and fruits. So don't these plants reproduce? Or do they reproduce by some other means? Let's answer all these questions in this video. Reproduction in plants can occur in two major ways. One type is asexual reproduction and the second is sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction, as the name suggests, involves sex cells or gametes. So a new individual is born when gametes from both male and female parents fuse. Now, can you guess what asexual reproduction will be? In contrast to the previous type, asexual reproduction does not involve gametes. It is a type in which some part of the parent body will be capable of growing into a new organism. Interesting, isn't it? But which part of the parent body will grow into a new organism? Based on various factors, asexual reproduction is further categorized into subtypes. A few of these include the vegetative propagation, fragmentation, budding, and spore formation. Let's get introduced to each type in detail in the upcoming videos.
You are watching Bermuda Grad Central, changing the world 1 yard at a time.
Okay, yard fanatics, look, I'm always trying to give you the best information. This video is called What is a Stolon? Alright? If you got Bermuda grass, your Bermuda grass is going to spread two ways. It's going to spread through stolons and it's going to spread through rhizomes. These are stolons right here. These are the top runners, as you can see. Now, the reason it's looking all shaggy like this is because I took a blower and blew it so I can blow them up to show you. But what stolons do is they spread on Bermuda grass. Now look at that. That's, oh my goodness, like 12, 15 feet. They can get real long, okay? Not 12, 15 feet, 12, 15 inches, but they can get real long. And what they do is they run across the ground. This part right in here, let me show you. That part right there, what it does is root to the ground and you'll start to spread like that. Now, a period of time, the ones that's coming off of it, they do the same thing. They spread, they start rooting, so you start getting grass to spread that way right there.
Tubers and tuberous roots. Tubers, such as the winter aconite Aranthis hyemales, see reference 2, winter aconite Aranthis hyemales for USDA Zone 4, have one or more underground, non-creeping food-storing stems that are thick and fleshy. These plant-producing bulbs can be dug up and stored over winter. Tubers have scattered buds along the surface of the fleshy root which develop into new plants. The common potato is a tuber. Tuberous roots are a form of bulb, but are actually thickened roots. An example of a tuberous root is the Grecian windflower anemone blanda suited to USDA Zone 6. Rhizomes. Rhizomes produce plants from a bulb-type system consisting of a thick food storage stem that grows along the soil's surface. Growth buds form on a rhizome for the next season's leaves and flowers. Bearded irises Iris germanica grow from a rhizome and are well suited for various zones, depending on the cultivar. The calla lily Xantideschia ethiopica, suited for USDA zones 8 through 10, is also a rhizome. What is a bulb plant? Bulbs are actually a complete plant within a small package containing future roots, stems, leaves and the flower of a plant, so technically speaking a bulb is simply one part of the plant. On the other hand, numerous plants grow from a variety of bulb types. Plants from bulbs grow from these underground self-contained packages that serve as storage lockers, supplying nutrients and energy for the plant to grow and bloom today and in the future. True bulbs. True bulbs produce plants such as the giant flowering onion Allium giganteum from the Amaryllis family for U.S. Department of Agriculture hardiness zone 5, and is actually a complete plant in a tiny package. Fleshy scales surround the future plant, protecting necessary food for the plant to grow. After a bulb has bloomed into a plant, the leaves manufacture food the next year and transfer it underground to start the chain again. As a bulb grows, it produces tiny bulblets, which you can remove to grow as new plants. Corms. Another type of plant producing bulb is simply a modified, swollen stem filled with food storage tissue. A corm usually is short and squat and covered with a mesh-like material. Growth eyes appear at the top. Corms disappear after the plant develops and new ones form for next year's growth. Some corms also produce cormels, which are similar to bulblets. An example of a plant producing corm is a crocus suitable for USDA Zone 4.
Sexual reproduction in plants. In this module, you will learn how sexual reproduction takes place in flowering plants. It is spring season. Flowers are blooming on the trees. It is indeed a beautiful sight. Flowers attract all of us. They are the most beautiful part of the plant, isn't it? You already know that flowers are not present only to add beauty to the plant. They are in fact the reproductive part of the plant. In the flower, stamen is the male reproductive part, while carpel is the female reproductive part. Some flowers contain both male and female reproductive parts. Such flowers are called bisexual flowers. For example, pea, China rose, etc. On the other hand, some flowers possess either the male or the female reproductive parts. Such flowers are called unisexual flowers. For example, corn, cucumber, etc. Now let us know about the different parts that make up a stamen and a carpel. A stamen is made of two main parts, anther and filament. The anther produces pollen grains. It is the pollen grain that contains the male gametes. A carpel, on the other hand, is made up of three parts. The terminal part is called the stigma. The middle elongated part is the style, and the swollen bottom part is the ovary. Inside the ovary, ovules are present. It is the ovule that has the female gamete called the egg cell. For sexual reproduction to take place, a male gamete is to be fused with the female gamete, thereby forming a zygote. Now for that, the male gametes have to reach the female gametes. For this, first a pollen grain carrying the male gametes is transferred from the stamen of a flower to the stigma of the same or the other flower. Such transfer of pollen grains is known as pollination. If the pollen grain of a flower lands on the stigma of the same flower, it is called self-pollination. But if the pollen grain of a flower lands on the stigma of another flower of the same or another plant of the same type, it is called cross-pollination. Pollination occurs with the help of different agents like wind, water, or animals. Once a pollen grain reaches the stigma of a suitable flower, a tube grows from the pollen grain. This tube travels through the style and reaches the ovary. The male gamete from the pollen travels in this tube and reaches to the female gamete present in the ovule of the ovary. After that, the male and the female gamete fuse together to form the zygote. This process of fusion of male and female gametes is called fertilization. The zygote formed after the fertilization then divides several times to form an embryo inside the ovule. The ovule develops a tough coat and changes to a seed. The ovary, on the other hand, ripens and forms a fruit around the seed. At this time, the other parts of the flower, like the sepals and petals, fall off. So, a seed present inside a fruit contains an embryo, which is actually a baby plant. Each time a seed is planted in soil and provided appropriate conditions, it grows into a seedling, which then